Yo, what's up, man? Happy Ears Radio Show. This is Moose aka Big House. It's not our song, but it's jamming, man. Shout out to Willie Mitchell, 1969. Shout out to Willie Mitchell, man. Hey, matter of fact, D-Lo's in here. He's gonna talk a little bit about that piano you hear, man. He sent me a picture of it and everything, man. The guy's music is he's talented. Hey, this is Moose. I have on I only got 2 shirts on, but I am freshly showered, which is always a plus. It's hot. It's hot here in Indianapolis where we do the show. It's 80 some odd degrees or what have you. And just like I refused to turn the heat back on when it got cold, I'm not turning the air on just yet either. We're gonna see how it works, man. Hey, I tell you what, man. Today's show is gonna be jam packed. The name of the show is Another One, and joining us today, man, we got the lady of the house, the one, the only, Run.
EMC. We have.
Happy Tuesday. It's my favorite day of the whole week. And I don't ever know what day it is except Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
That's really saying something.
It is. It is.
Time and date are now social constructs, except for Tuesdays. They're the most important day of the whole week.
All right. Hey, man, we also have, of course, man, the other smooth voice you heard is the one and only D-Lo. D-Lo G, otherwise known as DJ Longgreen.
Yo, what's happening, man? I think we got a heavy show tonight, man. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about, especially as it relates to people that look like us, man. So, I'm glad it's Tuesday so we can really get some things out in the open and just really talk about this, man, because I feel impacted at this point from a mental standpoint.
Okay. All right. And then hopefully, man, like later on, we'll get into some music or something, just to kind of lighten it up. Like, I don't want to stay heavy the whole time because I just know, you know what I mean? I just know how it goes for people, especially right now. Like 2020 is Buster Douglas on the Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it was like we came in like, oh, it's going to be so bright, man, 2020, the vision and all that, you know what I'm saying? It's been nothing but
decade, man.
Yeah, it ain't been nothing but just heartache and pain, boy. I got another song we probably should have played. Hey, man, we also got a special guest in the house, man. He's been on the station before, even on the show, man. So shout out to E Webb. What's going down?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, my people? How's it going? I'm happy to be here, man. I know I keep saying I'm coming, man, but that's 4:30 in the morning. Man, it's rough, you know what I'm saying? So
that'll do it right there.
Firmly, I'm coming tonight, man, so I want to make sure I get here, man. And, man, yeah, to piggyback off what you said, man, about this year, it has been rough, man. But you know what, man? It's some tough trials, man. We got to figure out a way to get through it, man. I think we will. I'm interested to get into that subject that y'all was on earlier.
Yeah, so I tell you what. So, Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. Welcome everybody. We're gonna run that news today, and we're also gonna do brews and reviews. Those are things we normally do. Reading Rumbo is happening as well. Matter of fact, I think it's our last installment until somebody writes some more books, probably. But until we get,
I think I can find some more, but it'll be the last installment with this author.
Okay. All right. Hey, so you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So in Minnesota today, there was a gentleman. And see, here's the thing. I don't know the whole story, but there was a gentleman that was essentially killed by the police. And I first saw like on Facebook. And you know how it is. Sometimes you think it's real, sometimes it's not. You're not really sure if it's real or not. That kind of thing. And then I saw it again. I'm a news watcher, so I did turn on the nightly news, and I did not see it, by the way. So I'm very surprised at the stations that I watched that did not show this today. But I also get it too. It's kind of a way probably for them to keep the peace, I guess. But I think by this point, I don't think people really want to keep the peace anymore. I mean, we have to figure out a way to be peaceful, But there got to be some sort of change to happen. Okay? D-Lo, give us a rundown on what happened, man.
Memorial Day weekend. I believe the incident itself happened yesterday. Truck driver in Minneapolis. I assume he was in a store. The way the police reported the incident, there was a forgery in progress. I don't quite know what a forgery in progress is. The video picks up. We see a black man in his mid to late 40s on the ground with a police officer's knee on top of his neck while he's face down on the concrete, cement, asphalt, whatever. And the cop is just staying there, like he's not moving. His hands is in his pocket. He stayed in that position on this man's neck for several minutes as the guy kept yelling the very reminiscent statement that Eric Gardner was saying, "I can't breathe." The guy's crying out for his moms. He's telling them he's thirsty. And the cop is on top of his neck for so long that he eventually becomes motionless. You had a bunch of onlookers and people on the street that were pleading for the officers to get off of this man, to let him up. I mean, the video itself, I saw a couple different versions. The first one I saw was about 8 minutes, and I think they were on his neck for about the entirety of the 8 minutes. This afternoon, I saw another video that was on Sean King's Instagram, and it was about 10 minutes in length, and it showed the paramedics coming and putting him on the ambulance stretcher, and he was pretty motionless at that point too. The way the report reads at this point, he died a short time after being at the hospital, but it's hard to argue that he didn't die under the weight of the officer being on his neck. And there have also been some pictures that have been released since then as well that showed it wasn't just the officer on his neck. There were two other officers on him as well, one on his back and one kind of positioned on his leg. So you got 3 adult men, one on this man's neck. So you're talking a minimum of 400 or 500 pounds of pressure on this guy as he's face down, in the street. And if it's hot in Minneapolis like it is in Indianapolis, that can't be a comfortable situation. And the fact that he eventually died and the officers involved, the 3 that were on him physically and the one that was kind of holding the crowd back have all been dismissed by the Minneapolis Police Department. This is tough, man. This is tough to justify. Why not apprehend him, stand him up, get him in the car, whatever the case may be. But just to see that officer on his neck for 7-8 minutes, man, I mean, mind blowing.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure it out, man. I was trying to figure out how, like, from the officer's perspective, was Mr. Floyd fighting, right? And so maybe his adrenaline was going because dude had put up a fight before they got the video going. It'll
be interesting to see because it sounds like, this was a commercial retail area where this happened at. So I'm sure there's going to be some video footage that's probably already been obtained or will be released to the public at some point in time from the stores. There was a Speedway gas station directly across the street. So there should definitely be some different viewpoints. And from what I'm understanding, I read something a little later this evening that mentioned that the police also had body cameras. So we might get a complete story. I hope we find out what this forgery in progress was or forgery in process. But there's a whole lot of questions. And again, just seeing somebody on top of somebody's neck for 7-8 minutes. I mean, no matter what he did at that point with 4 officers, I just don't know how you can justify that this was reasonable force.
I will say 2 things. So, one, a lot of times paramedics will not pronounce someone dead on arrival because they want that time to try to resuscitate a person. So he could have been dead on arrival, but they often will not make that call until they have tried things in the ambulance or make it to the hospital. 2, I feel like if he was fighting before, during this period of 7 or 8 minutes, he could not have been fighting very hard, because I don't think an average sized person could keep their knee on someone's neck that's physically fighting and trying to get out of that for that period of time. So my guess is that even if he was fighting, then he had already stopped resisting, and so then why not sit him somewhere?
And he was already handcuffed.
Right.
Right, he's already in cuffs, right?
The thing to me, man, is it's not even. It is a point of whether he was resistant or not. But beyond that, like, we're talking about a humanity issue. So what if he was struggling? Okay, let's just say he was struggling. And there's plenty of ways to detain the guy. I mean, they train to do these things, right?
Yeah.
Handcuff the man, like you said, stand him up, get him in the car, hog tie him. You know what I mean? There's plenty of ways to restrain him without suffocating the dude. So no matter what the issues were, did it deserve him being suffocated by a grown man's knee on the neck? I think that's the part that a lot of people overlook. It's like, he may have been resistant. He may have been doing all these things, but did it deserve him losing his life? And that's the part I look at.
Right.
Yeah, that crime is not punishable by death. You know, if he goes in front of a judge.
Right.
So here's the thing, guys. So, like, you look on your social media, because that's the only place we're really playing. Like I said, it's playing right now. It's not on the news, really. And people are outraged, and then some people are, even myself. I saw a meme that had a picture of Kaepernick kneeling and had a picture of this officer kneeling on this guy's neck, and just kind of asked the question like which one's okay, or either one of these okay, what have you. And since then I've seen that same meme around a lot, right? And the consensus on my social media was, it's the officer was wrong. Kaepernick was justified because he's using his status. His matter of fact, Ron, why don't you had a real good explanation for it?
Yeah. So I just said that Kaepernick is using his fame and his platform to make a protest and a statement against something that he believes in and something that he knows is wrong. And so he's using that platform to spread that news, while other people don't see it that way. They see Kaepernick is disrespecting the flag and the military. And I said to Moose earlier, we were talking about this, I said, yeah, but what happens if I kneel during the national anthem? I can tell you what would happen. Nothing, because Tim Tebow did every single game, and he's white, and it didn't matter. So if a black person wants to speak out against injustices in America, right, where we're all supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, they're not allowed to do it. And here's why: because white people don't take black people seriously. White people don't believe that black people struggle. They say we all struggle, it doesn't matter. And white people definitely do not believe that slavery has anything to do with it, because in white people's minds, slavery was so long ago that there's no way any of this can still be happening. There's no way that we can still have Jim Crow laws. There's no way that we still oppress people. And that's wrong. It's 100% not true. I'm getting fired up. Can you tell?
You know what, Ron? Can I say something real quick, man? My wife posted something online on Facebook that coincides with what you said. Can I read this real quick?
Yes, please.
It says, George Floyd, another black life that didn't matter. You want to know why there's a movement? This is why. What kind of person puts a knee on an unarmed, handcuffed man who is constantly saying he can't breathe and keeps it there? What kind of man stand around and do nothing while the the life is literally crushed out of another human being. Are these the police? Yes, they were fired, but damn it. Until white Americans get as pissed off about as and protest this as much as they do when they can't give freaking haircuts, this won't change.
Yes.
That's the truth. And, you know, and it's funny because I saw a different side of it on a different post. I'm going to share it with you guys real quick. And D-Lo, I want to start with you, and then we'll go to E-Web and then finish a run on this post. This is a pilgrim lady, all right? And she's on my buddy's post, and she says, but wait, these are two completely different things. She's talking about Kaepernick, that picture I told you about, Kaepernick kneeling and Officer kneeling. She says, he's a cop serving the community, putting his life on the line every day. Kaepernick is just an entitled football player, disrespecting the military and the flag. He isn't even 100% black, so therefore his protest doesn't count. D-Lo, what you think about that?
I think it's the advantage of being able to live life from an entitled viewpoint. So in a lot of ways, what they're saying is irrelevant and certainly misguided. You know what I mean? But that's the power of the biggest platform in the land, that being the president, because he came in and he changed Kaepernick's narrative. You know, we knew it was about police brutality. There was already so much going on, you know, up to the point that Kaepernick felt the need to have a silent protest on the field to get his point across. People weren't happy about it, but once the president came in and kind of threw gasoline on the issue, I mean, it completely turned it up. You know what I mean? But as a black man, I always knew what Kaepernick was kneeling for, you know, and I certainly understood because, I mean, on the nightly news and social media, we're consistently seeing these images of police either being overly forceful with black men or flat out taking their lives. So, you know, I have to dismiss her opinion almost completely. Not saying it's irrelevant to her and her background, but, you know, the reality is, you know, and I saw somebody else make a post similar, it's like a lot of our pilgrim citizens have more of an issue with us bringing up the problem than they do the problem itself. You know what I mean? And so, unfortunately, we live in a mob mentality type of society, and if you have several people who share your view, then it can spread like wildfire. You know what I mean? So, I really have to dismiss your follower's statement because it only speaks to her vantage point as opposed to the real suffering that humans that look like some of us are really dealing with.
E-Web, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I feel like, you know, first of all, he is black. That's the first thing I want to say. Kaepernick's black. I know he has, I think his mother is white and his dad is black. I don't know if it's the other way around, but to me, that makes him the perfect person to do it. I mean, because he's coming from both backgrounds. So he's got a mom and a dad that's supporting him on this issue. So if a man can come from both backgrounds, have both the white and the black background in his, you know, in his family and his history and kneel, then who better than him to do it?
I'm with you. That's a good point.
Yeah. I think for a white person, so that's what I'm going to say because I am white. I know that generally on the show we say pilgrim, but I think for a white woman to dismiss another human being and say that his protest doesn't even count because he's half black just shows how ignorant white people are right now. And it's disheartening and it's disgusting. And then I have friends who are reaching out to me who are also white, and they're like, well, like, what do we do? How do we help? And so I want to turn that question back on you guys. Like, what does the white community that's passionate about this, that knows it's wrong, like, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we help?
Honestly, I don't think I don't think anything will change until we're the majority. And when I say we, I mean the people that the people that feel like they are being treated unfairly in the United States, and people that want to help those that feel like they're being treated in the United States. Until we're the majority and in positions to make change, that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's been set up, and here goes back to the to the slavery thing, but it goes, it's pretty much been set up so that we will not be. We're not able to get in power. I mean, and there's always going to be somebody that helps you. I mean, we know that, the reason that a lot of times, even slavery, somebody had to say, somebody on the other side, on the Pilgrim side, had to say, I don't think this is right, guys, for it to end. It couldn't be Nat Turner was like, I'm fighting. Like, they're like, keep fighting. We're just going to kill you. Or it could be your boy to move back to Africa, and started Liberia, Marcus Garvey. So, you get a situation like that, but that's only a very small movement. If anything changes, it's going to have to be lawful, which is going to be the first thing, which I don't think some people don't understand that. It's going to have to be lawful. And what E-Web said earlier, and I posted about it earlier myself today, it has to be some sort of humanity involved. Like, more and more humans just have to get used to the fact that, man, you know what? Just because my skin is different, or I like different music, or my food has more than salt and pepper and raisins in it, that I'm still saying I'm still a pretty good guy. Like I'm still cool with you, and nothing will change until that happens. I mean that's unfortunately just the case. I mean, you got people. I'm a man of a certain age. When am I going to go out and start fighting cats? I heard a radio station today that was on right before we started. I was listening to him, and the guy said, "When are we going to start just jumping on him?" What? You go ahead and jump on him, please, if you want to, and we'll be hashtagging your name too. That's the goofiest thing I ever heard. Let's not do anything goofy like that. You got to vote. You got to treat people nice. You got to teach other people how to treat people nice. You got to be respectful, in your community. You got to be a leader in your community, and that's the only way we're going to affect change. And in my opinion, there's going to be people that listen to this and going to be like, man, Moose is soft. No, Moose has 3 sons that he wants to live until they get old, and Moose wants to be older, right? And so I understand how this thing goes, man. So to directly answer your question, Ron, about what can pilgrims do, they can be our allies, they can be our friends, they can tell their other friends, they can start to influence their other friends about the ways it was. And you can't just be, and by the way, we can't just be mad at pilgrim people, by the way, because just as many black men killed other black men yesterday too. Matter of fact, more probably. And we got to stop that too. We got to stop that too, because they're going to use that. They're going to use that as the song and dance to. Well, why should we care when they don't care about themselves?
I mean, but thanks to Ronald Reagan, that became the argument. But it gets broadcast because there's more people that live in the city and more people of color. But I mean, most of the time when black folks kill black folks, it's generally over a personal issue, and blacks kill blacks at the same rate that whites kill whites, Hispanics kill Hispanics. The whole notion of black on black crime, is just another way to spin the narrative to get people focusing on the fact that all these black on black deaths are reported, and making it into the mainstream news. But it's used more so, in my opinion, as a tactic to take away from the fact that we pay these police officers to protect and serve us, and they're going out here and they're killing the same people that are helping to pay their salaries. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's just a spin on the story to get people thinking elsewhere, to make it seem not as bad, or people can be more conditioned with the idea and the okay of a police officer killing a black man because, well, if you watch the news, black men do it to each other all the time. You know what I mean? But that's looking at it from a very black and white perspective, and not considering the layers and levels, and almost dismissing the fact that these officers are taking black lives on a regular basis.
And not only that, man, you're right, that is a shallow perspective, because even the black on black crime a lot of that is because of the conditions that they're under.
Absolutely.
And the situations that they're in, even when, and a lot of that's controlled by the police force, and so all of that stuff is set up for a lot of them to fail in that situation. So,
absolutely.
So you can't overlook that either. So it's easy to look at it and say, well, these black men are killing each other all the time. Well, they're caught up in a system where, I mean, some of them, that's all they grew up knowing. Drugs, dealing drugs, and all, that's all they do. So, of course they're going to do that, to some degree, but like you said, to make that issue and totally overlook the fact that cops are just killing black men, that's just, I don't see how you can put the two together at all.
Yeah, so did anybody see last...
The other does not, it just doesn't, it doesn't just work. It's not that black and white. It's not that easy.
I got a question. Did anybody see what race the guy was in Arizona that started shooting at the mall? He was apprehended, so I mean, you can almost take a guess. He was apprehended, but I'm not sure. I don't know 100%. Keyword being apprehended, except for the one that was in the military base. Now, that person was killed, but what they call them? Terrorist act.
Muslim, yeah.
It was a terrorist act, so that person's dead. This other guy that's just randomly shooting cats at Arizona when the mall opens up for the first time in 3 months, he's not a terrorist. He's apprehended. So, shout out to Big Gates, man. He's on. He had a comment for us too. Shout out to the folks in Texas, man, Houston, Texas. No, I say we need to fix ourselves first, he says. Damn, a virus ain't stopping us from killing each other. He says, and these are Big Gates words, hell, gay people are getting more respect than us. And all I want to say is he, what he's saying is somewhat right. Like, they are together. If you talk about the population of folks, the same sex and all that, like, they kind of stick up for each other, right? And they've had enough inclusion with people that are in power for them to elevate to elevate that lifestyle, that community. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's kind of happened. What's up, D-Lo?
I mean, I completely get that, and a lot of our gay brothers and sisters are in situations where a lot of them have a lot of discretionary income because most of them don't have children. Most of them aren't, or a good portion of them aren't living in impoverished conditions, and poverty breeds crime. You know what I mean? You're talking about people who have nothing. Look at people who have lived in projects for years. You've got thousands of people right on top of each other, and in a lot of those boxed apartments, people ain't even got food. You know what I mean? So it puts you in a situation where you feel like, what am I going to have to do? What do I have to use? I'm not making much money. I don't have access to much. How am I going to go out here and support my little sister who needs braces, or my little brother who, has his handicap and is in a wheelchair, but we can't afford a wheelchair, so it puts people in the situation. It's just different. I respect the gay community and the fact that they have been able to come together, but the system and the conditions of America for black people has been so destructive in terms of our unity, our ability to move ahead. If I'm worried about putting food in the stomach of my 4 kids, more so than I'm worried about unifying with other blacks to change the condition, I got to deal with this daily. So it's hard for me to make this priority. And so when you've got so many people in that same situation, trying to figure out how they're going to eat, how they're going to survive, how they're going to pay the rent, because in most cases it's not a mortgage situation. You know what I mean? So they own nothing. So they're literally scraping for everything that they have. And unfortunately, when you have so many people on top of each other like that, it's never really a good situation. I mean, there's poor mental health in most of those communities. I mean, there's just a number of factors. I've been fortunate in the fact that, I grew up, I've done okay for myself. I live in Pike Township in Indiana, and trust me, my home is further away from my neighbors than, 90% of the people who live below 38th Street on the east side of town. You know what I mean? So I'm not on top of somebody constantly trying to struggle, constantly competing. It's just different. But there's just a lot of socioeconomic conditions that a large number of black folks deal with that just make it so much harder for us to be able to unite, because we're thinking about trying to obtain the everyday basic needs to keep living, as opposed to being able to concentrate on the greater good of the entire community.
Oh, man, I dig it.
I have a question for you guys before we move off of this topic.
We're not moving on, but I am going to take a quick little moose turn now, because as we talked about that, so in the midst of this pandemic, you guys remember, well, three of us are old enough maybe to remember when AIDS was first came out. You know what I mean? Like Ryan White was the first one. Happened to be here in Indiana, as a matter of fact. And and all of a sudden it was this scary scene. People can't have sex, and you got to wear protection, and and all this, and they were really down on the gay community at that point. And then something happened, or it just like turned around, right? Like, so the epidemic, because that's where Fauci got his start. Fauci was at the, he was at the epicenter of that. And now I saw today on a commercial where you can take medicine and it pretty much takes it out of your system where you can't pass it or even show that you had it, right?
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson's the first one, right? Exactly, because he's had children after he got contracted, by the way. So, all right. So here's the thing: how can we almost cure AIDS? How can we elevate a community of people that were scourges, right? We're talking about the homosexual community. For years, nobody liked them. They were scared. They were, that's the way the term coming out of the closet. All of a sudden, they do have respect. They are unified. They are together. I don't think people look down on them as much as they did. How come we have those two things can happen, but like we said, still seems as though if you got black skin and brown skin, we're not able to get it pulled together. Run.
My thoughts are because the people in power and the people who have been in power or who have long-standing generational wealth I think they're scared of black men. And so I think in a world where everyone who is in power is afraid of black men, then why would they not try to keep this race down? And why would they not? I mean, essentially it feels like we, and I'm saying we as a white person, are taking this power that has long been held by white people, and we are using it to get rid of black men, right? Like we, white people, painted this narrative that black men walk out on their families and black dads aren't around, right? So like this narrative has been created, and I think perpetually it has just grown. And now it's to the point where white people are so terrified of the black man that the way to remedy their fear is to kill them systemically.
All right. Hey, by the way, guys, as we just crossed my mind, two things. One, I want to put just into the universe some solutions if we come across them, which I think we already came across one, and that's diving into our own communities and trying to change the perspective of the people in our own communities. And then also, guys, I reached out to a friend of mine that, I mean, he feels like he thinks Trump walks on water, and he believes that everything's going on is right, and that just all that. So anyway, and yes, I said he's my friend because we went to high school together. We went to high school together, and then I went to college. He went to the Marines. And we've been together a few times over the years, and man, he is he has a totally different perspective on me. So I reached out to him, Just right now, I just sent him a little message like, yo, I know he knows how we feel because he follows the heavy hitter. So he sees all the stuff we do and all that. So he follows me personally and he follows the podcast. So, he kind of knows where I stand. Again, he's my friend. Imagine if we worked together, it would be like, it'd be like the sheep and Wile E. Coyote. Like the sheep and Wile E. Coyote, like they walk in together, they go their opposite ways during work. You know what I'm saying? And they go at it hard the rest of the time. It'd be something similar to that is what I think it would look like. So anyway, I reached out to him to see if see, and he might even be at work or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, I wanted to try that out. So, all right. So here's what we got, guys. We got this gentleman, man. That again, and I know people like to say the name for impact and all that and emotion. I'm not trying to necessarily. I don't think we're trying to draw up emotion. I think we're trying to have solutions, be solution focused. And I think what happens is you don't get a lot of people that are solution focused. You get people get mad and they get to be activists and they want to cuss and fuss instead of trying to figure it out. Okay, so that's where I want to, if I'm some sort of if we are as a team or some sort of leaders, hopefully we can stay kind of in that mix. All right, Ron, you had something that you want to add real quick.
I have a question for you guys. So, as white allies are starting to take stances and having these conversations, what's your advice for allies that want to have these conversations, they want to be part of big movements, but not overpowering the black voice? Like, what's the balance?
I mean, show up and support. I mean, we need people to advocate on our behalf on the highest levels. Call your local representatives, call your prosecutors, and demand fair and thorough investigations, when they see injustices. Social media is a powerful platform, and we use it to a degree of success, even with the show. So, I mean, it's people seeing the injustices, being as upset as we are, then going back to their smaller communities and having those conversations. And, I think there are different areas where you can wield influence. And even the fact that, if you hear a friend, telling black jokes or saying things that are very insensitive or degrading to people not like you, call it out. You know what I mean? You got to be able to, and I know it's not always comfortable, but in your own social circles, you just can't let stuff slide, because at that point, if you're just letting it slide, what is your impact? You're more so condoning it rather than standing up for it. You know what I mean? So I just feel like the biggest thing they can do is get into their own communities, talk about this, let people know where they stand, so that maybe other people who are afraid to use their voice can maybe even come to you privately and say, hey, man, I'm feeling this same way too. You know what I mean? Because then once you all start connecting, even on a small level, you have no idea who that's going to impact, who that's going to touch. And I just think that there are a number of things you can do just in terms of being great support. You know what I mean? If we're expressing an issue, get behind it. Hey, I don't think that's right. Hey, I like what y'all doing. You know what I mean? I feel like there are ways to support, but also there's great power in denouncing certain attitudes and certain things that happen. And I think that people have to be willing to do that in order for us to improve the overall society.
I had a question, D-Lo, and for anybody really. So, I mean, we tell off-color jokes. We do racial stuff sometime on this show. Typically we're entertainers. We just want to try to have fun with each other. We the folks, we the guys and girls you want to hang out with. That kind of mentality. So now because these things keep happening, so now my jokes can only be about cars and you know what I'm saying? Like it has to be about benign. Like all my jokes have to be benign and they can't have any kind of edge to them.
No, absolutely not.
You like the word, by the way, you like the word benign?
What's that?
You like me using benign in a sentence?
Yeah, man. Great use of the word benign.
Thank you.
But I think the difference is, it's not the totality of who we are, and in a very public way, we're very respectful as individuals and collectively to other races, other cultures, so you get that, in strong doses as opposed to our every now and again off-color comment or off-color joke. We're very inclusive. We don't make anyone feel like an outsider or us versus them. And that's the larger picture, and we're publicly showing you this, you know what I mean? But behind the scenes, I personally believe we're the exact same people that we broadcast ourselves to be, you know what I mean? But there are a lot of people who don't have that same level of respect and public show of face to say, I told this joke or yada, yada, yada. But very publicly, you can see me out here working with these people. You can see me respecting them. You can see me asking all the right questions. You can see me lending my support. You can see me welcoming people in. Unfortunately, since the 90s, we've got a large number in this country, or a large percentage of women who have dealt with sexual harassment or some other sort of predatory behavior, but yet and still, we're at a point in time where people still love women, and women haven't turned off against men and said, hey, because, back in 95, you did X, Y, Z, and this was your statement and attitude, so we're completely off of you. So, I don't have all the answers, but I know that there's room for improvement, and, we're going to be people, we're going to laugh and make fun of some things, but I think at the end of the day, we also have to very visibly show our respect and show that we are good people, and I think also, in addition to making off-color comments, we'll do that about other people, other races, other groups, but just as much as we do that to ourselves, you know what I mean? So we're not just laughing at you, we're laughing at ourselves.
All right, I like that, man. I like it. Hey, guys, you listen to Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is, it's Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday, although I ate barbecue chicken for dinner myself. Actually, smoked chicken. Ain't no barbecue sauce on it. You know why? Because Moose's food don't need a crutch.
That's the right amount of mariachi.
Yeah.
I like it that way.
Yeah, man. Hey, so remember, we are going to do our other normals. We're going to do Brews and Reviews. We're going to reading Runbo and run that news as well. That's hard to say all those things real close together right there. And by the way, if you want to hit us up, you can hit us up at Heavy
_
Hitters
_
Yeah, that's us, man. Maybe I should start checking.
That's on Twitter.
That's our Twitter, right? I probably need to check that. All right. Anyway, and by the way, we're zooming. So I'm at the Compound Studios in lovely Indianapolis, Indiana. D-Lo, where are you located?
Yo, Long Green Studios.
And Ron?
I'm in Run's house.
Whose house?
Whose house?
Run's house.
We didn't even plan that.
Makes me so happy. I have not changed my little sign since I moved in here. I name it the Hen House, and I said, it's Run's house. Run's house.
True story, man. True story. Hey, all right. So, guys, there's going to be a new show coming out, and because here's what I want to do. I kind of want to put the issue right now to bed a little bit, only because more and more information will come out, and I'm sure on some of our other platforms, some of our other shows, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it again. So man, rest easy, George Floyd, and have peace, please. And then hopefully, man, I give some extra positive thoughts to the people that are making the decisions there in Minnesota to do the right thing for him.
Can I say one more thing about it before you sign off on that topic? I think this one has a chance to be really interesting if this plays out how the public sees it, because George Floyd was a very close friend of former professional basketball player Steven Jackson, as well as a great friend of underground Houston rapper Trey the Truth. So he's got some pretty powerful friends in the Houston area. He was a Houston native, so the power of their influence could loom large in their particular industry. So I think that'll make a bigger difference than maybe some of the other injustices we've seen between the police and some of the murder fallen black victims.
Man, that's a good call. I'll tell you something else that happened today, real quick, guys. There's a brother in New York in Central Park, and reports say that he's bird watching, which, I mean, I'm sure there's some brothers out there that bird watch. I've just never met any, right? But anyway, so he's out bird watching, and then he has a confrontation with a woman that has a dog off her leash. So the story says that he says, "Hey, can you put your dog on your leash?" Because he's nervous about it. Now, I'm already thinking he's probably right because he's a black man and it's a loose dog, and I know how I am with loose dogs that I don't know nothing about. And so that's something that came back from the slave time. So anyway, so he asked the lady to put the dog on a leash. She refuses. He starts filming, and everybody kind of saw the rest of it. She calls the police and says, "This man is attacking me. This black man, I think she said African-American man maybe, but this African-American man is attacking me. He's threatening me, that kind of thing." She got the dog by the neck. So here's what's funny. If you took a poll of 100 people that saw that, 75% of them were mad that she was holding the dog by the neck, not the fact that she called the police and falsely reported this dude. Ron, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so as a society, we are incredibly desensitized to human violence and human injustices. However, if you harm an animal, then people will get feisty and then people will say something. Even if you watch like horror films, right, or documentaries about serial killers, because that's what the white people I know are doing. The anger comes when an animal is harmed, not when a person is harmed.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, we see violence and murders, and we see this all the time. And so, as people, we kind of just like tune it out. It's so common that it doesn't strike us. But animal violence is less common or less covered by the media, and so that will still rattle us.
So, Ewe, what's your thoughts on it, man?
I don't know what to think about that one, man. I don't. So you're saying that they were mad because she was choking the dog, but because they didn't get mad because she called the police, right? Right. That's the question.
Because she called the police and said the man was attacking her. He clearly was like, "I just want you to put your dog on a leash while we in the same little area."
And it's the park rule that your dog is leashed.
Signs posted.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she was wrong for doing that, but as far as the responses to it, I don't know, man. That's strange to me because I don't view. It's hard for me. It would be hard for me to look at that and say, "Why is she holding the dog?" She was holding the dog. Yeah,
she had like by a choker collar or something. She had the leash in one hand and her phone, and then she had the dog on the other hand. The dog was trying to get away from him because I mean he was clearly he was clearly under some sort of stress as it went on.
Yeah, she was clearly struggling to maintain control.
So I pulled up all the articles that came out about it from the different news medias, and here are the headlines that they use. What's that?
Read the headlines. I'm so excited.
Amy Cooper apologizes for calling cops on black man to make false accusations. The next one was Amy Cooper knew exactly what she was doing. The next one was women, and that was the Huffington Post, by the way. The next one was women speaks out after viral Central Park confrontation with man sparks outrage. Viral video shows white woman calling the cops on a black man. The last one was white woman placed on leave from job after falsely claiming black man attacked her. those are the different headlines for the same little thing that that we know of as the man asked her to put the dog on a leash. She doesn't. She falsely called the police. I think I read somewhere that her job fired her because they saw a video of her out there. D-Lo, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I have to agree with the Huffington Post. I mean, she absolutely knew what she was doing. And the only reason why I say that, before she called the cops, she announced, I'm going to call the police and I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. So she knew at that point, before the call was even made, she knew that the impact of what she could do would be acceptable and would probably provide a greater response. So she absolutely used her perceived privilege as leverage in trying to deal with this black man. That's what I think. So I don't feel sorry for her and the things that happened to her as a result.
I have some ties to the Huffington Post, and that headline made me really proud. Go Huffington Post. I mean, it's so interesting to hear the different headlines. Like, you can definitely tell the stance in the article based solely on the headline. And it's all the exact same story.
Right.
So why did she? So why would she do this? So we just talked about fear of a black man, right? Why? Where do you guys think that fear is really from? What is it from?
So it'd be a situation. You got a situation where, in this case, the guy says, "Ma'am, dogs are supposed to have their leash on at all times. The sign says right there." And she says, "The dog runs are closed. He needs his exercise. All you have to do is take him to the other side of the drive, outside of here. You can let him run off the leash all you want. It's too dangerous out there," she says. "If you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want." This is her writing this, by the way. She said, "What's that?" He said, "Me to the dog. Come here, puppy." Her, "He won't come to you." Me, "We'll see about that." That's what she wrote. She wrote that on her Facebook. Somebody screenshot and put it out there, and I saw it today. So, the whole thing's just messy. It's messy for no reason.
For no reason, but I think it goes back to the fact that a lot of people don't like black people. And you see this in everyday situations or even in authoritative situations. A lot of folks just do not respond well to black folks pointing out what they need to do. And so I think she was probably offended that there's this black man telling me to put my dog on a leash. And maybe it wasn't the fact that he was a black man, but the only reason why I bring that up is because she made it a point to threaten that she was going to tell the police that this African-American man was threatening her life. So it was her way to try and get back some of her perceived leverage in this situation, even though she was clearly disobeying the rules of the park in that particular area.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Hey, here's radio show. Hey, check this out, guys. We're gonna take a little bit of a turn here. Hey, coming either, I don't know if it's this Thursday or next Thursday, the return of me and my ex-wife's husband is coming back, man. It's coming back either this Thursday or next Thursday. With a really cool segment. With a really cool segment. E-Web, tell us about that new segment.
So the new segment, of course, it's going to come organically, but it's basically going to be, we're going to have a couple artist battles, and we're going to try to feature some underground rap artists on the show that a lot of people may not have heard, or maybe you have heard of. We're trying to give a little insight about who these guys are, and just give people a broader view of what hip-hop music really is, and just more depth on it instead of just what you hear on the radio.
And really,
we'll pick artists, artists of the artists of the day for the show, kind of talk about them, and we'll, bring up some some of your favorite artists to see how they pan out against each other and just get some ideas, see what people think about these new artists.
All right, cool. And again, guys, one of the things here that's happening is that, as a matter of fact, going back just a little bit to what we've been talking about, part of the plan is bringing people together. You don't have to be mad at folks. You don't have to be hateful. You can be respectful. You can be, you can have dignity. I use that word quite a bit. Dignity and respect for the other man, and it makes humanity that much better. So that's part of the plan. Is teaching people to have dignity and respect first for themselves, and if they can have it for themselves, then they can have it for others. I tell you what it's time for, though. It's time for to run that news.
Yes. We have all kinds of random things in the news, and I'm so disappointed Jeezy's not here because I for sure went to World Hip Hop today, World Star Hip Hop, and here's why I don't ever choose a story from there. I want to start with this one. Also, Jeezy texted us and said he was going to be late, and I said, obviously. Okay, here's the trending now on World Star Hip Hop. Here's why I don't ever choose these stories. Guy live streams himself shooting up a mall in Arizona, which we talked about. So sad. Young man drowns attempting to swim across the pond over a bet. Messed up. Dude films himself beating up an elderly patient during his shift at a nursing home. Like, this is why I don't pull these stories, Jeezy. All over some gas. Man gets shot 3 times in the chest after arguing over who got to the gas pump first in Kentucky. That's why I don't go to World Star Hip Hop.
But World Star Hip Hop is not the only primary source for black news. You can go to All Hip Hop, Hip Hop DX. There are other sources. But sites like the Shade Room, World Star Hip Hop, they tend to err on the side of ratchetness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if that's where you're looking for the Run That News stories,
Yeah.
you're going to get ratchet stories just like the headlines you just read.
Well, I was hoping to find something that was just like outlandish and would spark great conversation, and I didn't find it. Also, didn't look very hard. But, okay.
You can always fall back on Florida Man. Florida Man will always give you great stories. Florida
Man and your birthday. We'll do that later, maybe tonight. We'll see. Okay, So really for real, run that news. Okay, Jimmy Fallon is in the news, and he is making an apology. So in 2000, Jimmy did an SNL skit as Chris Rock, and he wore blackface. So earlier today, this clip resurfaced on the internet with the hashtag Jimmy Fallon is over party. And so Jimmy Fallon immediately addressed it. He said, in 2000, while on SNL, I made a terrible decision to do an impersonation of Chris Rock while on blackface. There is no excuse for this. I'm very sorry for making this unquestionably offensive decision, and thank you all for holding me accountable. So I felt like, now I know that there's like a whole team that comes up with these responses, but I felt like that was a pretty decent response. Thoughts?
It was 20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago.
And
does that excuse it?
And
I'd have to see it. I don't even remember it. I'd have to see it.
It doesn't look anything like him.
It looks like Chris Rock to me.
I know. I would never have known that was Jimmy Fallon. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't look anything like him.
Black shoe polish then. All right.
No.
So you know what I think on this? What that reminds me of? That reminds me of, now I know that the dude was, but with Martin Lawrence, he used to play those different characters on the Martin Lawrence. I remember he used to play Bob from marketing on it. Now I know it ain't the same thing. I know Bob from marketing isn't famous, you know what I mean? But man, that shit was funny as hell. So it's like, you know what I mean? How do you, in the other one funny too? I haven't seen it though.
And I'm gonna tell you this other one. Eddie Murphy played a white guy and was walking around.
Yeah. So this comedy.
A movie called White Chicks.
There you go.
So are we not making that anymore?
I'm just not quite offended by it for the simple fact that, like you stated, it was 20 years ago, but also I'm not quite offended by it because, again, it was 20 years ago, but also Jimmy Fallon has shown great respect to the black community using his platforms. He's employed a number of black folks. I mean, it was just funny. It may have even been Jimmy Fallon that did Karl Malone or someone on Saturday Night Live, and I thought that was hilarious too.
Jimmy Kimmel does Karl Malone. He used to back in the day.
Okay, I knew it was a Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I forgot to mention this earlier when we were talking about white people calling the cops on black people, or white people that say your protest doesn't matter because you only have black. We've got a new name for them. It's Karen Karenson. She always is calling the complaint line. Karen Karenson. You gotta have two of them in there because she's so much of a Karen.
I tell you, the lady on The Last Dance from Indianapolis that was a Pacer fan, they called her Pacer fan Karen. Like it's like the national name for what's that?
She's funny.
That's what they called her, Pacer fan Karen.
Okay. 2 Chainz is in the news because, bless his heart, one of his restaurants in Atlanta was shut down because it was too loud and too busy. So, the restaurant is the Escobar restaurant in Tapas, and so they posted a picture on their Instagram, and it is packed. So obviously they're not following the orders of how restaurants need to open and such things. So the officers drove by, and they noticed that the location was rather loud, busy, and occupied to be operating as a restaurant at that time of the night. So I guess really what that is saying is that they don't care that they weren't social distancing. They were saying it was a club and not a restaurant. So 2 Chainz is having to close that restaurant. They're having a party.
I think, here's what I find interesting about this whole thing, man. People are like kind of freaking out because they ask them to stay at home. But I never heard anybody say stay in the house.
Right.
Like, stay at home. So go out and cut your grass and, walk around your yard, sit on your porch, sit in your driveway and talk to your neighbors, all that. Like, they never said stay in the house.
Right.
And there was people, man, that did not feel the sun, the natural sun from March until like 2 weeks ago.
Well, in all fairness, it was only like 7 days that had the natural sun in that time frame, but still.
That's true. Very true. But and so I think it's one of those things where I think people are just like, for some reason now they're just fed up. But I don't understand how you like start rolling the dice on your life and other people's life. And we just talked about being respectful of people, right? And so we know that even during this pandemic, people are like, well, it's my right not to wear a mask. It's like, yeah, but is it your right to kill somebody? Like, do you want to accidentally kill somebody? What if they started prosecuting? If you could track back to the person that gave it to you and they start prosecuting that person for not practicing social distancing, then then is there an issue?
Be viral manslaughter.
See what I'm saying? And so I don't know. I just feel like anytime you get those type of situations, people just need to be smart. I mean, you see on Facebook and all the social media platforms. I mean, people were out. It was Memorial Weekend. People was on the beach. They was on boats. They was everywhere, chilling out together, with not with their circle of trust though. With 8 circle of trust groups.
So I think that you got to. The truth of that is somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? On should you wear a mask or should you not? Because there's some that say, keep your mask on, everybody's go get sick. And then you got some studies that say, you need all the bacteria and all the organisms. You need to bring all that stuff in to maintain a balance so you can fight off, the COVID-19, But within all of that, you got to have some type of restraint, right? So if you're the type of person like, I don't really want to wear my mask, well, there's got to be a line that you want to cross. You know what I mean? So if you go out to the beach, you still want to have some distance. People, they say you need the beach because all the organisms in the water and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff natural ecosystem stuff, you know. So once you shut yourself off from that completely, then you don't have any of that other stuff to fight off what's bad. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think everybody got different views on it, but I think the main thing is that to not be some type of cowboy or whatever you want to call it. Go out there, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I see them walking up to Home Depot all the time. Everybody's got masks because you're supposed to wear it, right? Dudes coming there without one on, you know. So I show some restraint somewhere, man, and some respect. Because the same people that say they won't wear a mask, but they're not gonna do this when they go to their mom's house. So,
She gonna be hit.
their mom is sick or something like that, you know. So I think, like I said, man, all that stuff you gotta kind of somewhere in the middle is where the truth is. You gotta kind of think both ways.
The best thing I heard, E-Web, is that so what you're talking about is what's called flora, right? So that's all the germs and all the stuff we get. That's the technical name for it. Look at me, I am crushing the words tonight, by the way. So anyway, as we get our flora, part of that flora comes from your circle of trust. See, and now that obviously our circle of trust is going to expand. Excuse me. Our circle of trust is going to expand as we just get more and more, comfortable. More and more used to being around people and doing all those kind of things. Our circle of trust is going to change slightly, and so I think that's where you're going to get your flora from, and in turn start to feel a little more comfortable. Just like I said, don't touch your face. Don't dig in your ears and all that kind of stuff. Wash your hands. You know what I mean? You should be all right for the most part.
Because it's different for different people, right? You got people that, the school systems or whatever, or different jobs around it, they can't go to work. So they just sitting at home doing nothing. But then you got other people that say work all the time. You know what I mean? So things don't seem, as shut down as it does to other people. You're more used to being around people more often.
Right.
So it's a tricky thing.
Hey folks, real quick, man, joining us, man, the star of the show, LGZ Mbaku, Teddy Riley.
I got better than that now. I will hope.
What'd you say?
I got good internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You're real quiet.
It's quiet, though.
Oh, yeah, y'all real low, too. It was good, man.
Living life, big boy.
Living a good life, man.
No, I mean, we not doing it like LGZ and Baku, Teddy Riley, but we doing it.
Whatever, I ain't doing it right now. I go to work every day. Like your man said, I be in there every day working.
Yeah.
The train ain't stopped.
You got some more news to run?
I do have more news to run. So, Queen's Brian May is back in the news. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we covered a story on him where he ripped his gluteus maximus to shreds. Remember?
It's like where's Waldo with this dude?
I know, this is kind of fun. So he is back in the news. He actually suffered a near fatal heart attack. So not only did he rip his glute to shreds, but then he had a heart attack. And they had to do some stents and stuff. He's had a really rough time. Poor guy. He is 72, but he is now recovering. And he says that he has the strongest heart because it's reconstructed, and so he's good to go. Now, I don't think his glute got reconstructed, but his heart did. So he at least has that. Also, and I think I'm going to hop on this bandwagon. So I said after the show, maybe last week, that I just miss hugs. Like, sometimes you just need a hug, and that's real. So people are now purchasing, like, those big inflatable costumes of different animals. So, like, there's a ballerina hippo from Fantasia, and there's the big T-Rex costumes that you've probably seen. So people are purchasing those, and so both parties are wearing it and they're hugging because they feel like it is a fairly safe, precautionary way to still hug people while maintaining safety during COVID, because your face and your whole body is covered by this costume. I think I'm in on it.
Sounds to me
All
like
right, let's be real. Who the hell is not hugging and touching? Man?
a lot of people.
Who has not had a hug since the COVID?
A lot of people have.
Then you're an idiot.
Okay.
That's silly. That's silly.
I heard an analogy today, Jeezy, and maybe this will help you. So we're going to use this analogy to represent people wearing masks, because I know how you feel about this. Okay, so imagine that there are two people, and both of them are naked. And person number A pees. Okay, now there's pee on person number B. I mean letter B, not number B. Okay, now, next scenario. Person B is wearing clothing, and person A is still naked. Person A pees. That urine is on person B, however, it's on their clothes, so they're protected, and you're like, this sucks, but at least I can change my clothes. Third scenario. Person A and person B are both wearing clothes. Person A urinates themselves. Person B gets no urine on them.
All right. That's a great analogy. Now, I'm going to use a great analogy. All right? So let's say run. You at the beach. You in a swimsuit, tops and bottoms, bikini. You walk around. Everybody sees you. You don't care. You're like, I'm at the beach in a bikini. Now you go home, put on bra and panties. Somebody walks in your house. Oh, my God, I'm naked. Not to mention, you have on the same article of clothing in both places. But it's the psychology to make you feel better being on the beach versus being in your house in your bra and panties. So the point is, the actual mask is all psychological. It's like being 6 feet apart. It's all to check the box. To make you, there's no difference between being 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. If somebody sneezes, you're in trouble. Period. No matter if you're 6 feet away, all of a sudden it'll dissolve and 6 feet away. No. It's like the store having 15 people inside. So is the air circulating when one person walk out, another person walk in? It's the same air. If one person coughs, everybody behind that one person that walks in the store is going to get sick. It's the same air.
Jeezy, welcome,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
I appreciate you. By the way, Ron, that analogy you heard that on a really great show a couple weeks ago called the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. I'm the one that said that.
Where was I?
He was sitting right there where you're sitting right now. But anyway, welcome. Glad you were listening that day.
That's now clicked in my brain today.
So
I do not remember that at all.
it's
I
all
remember
good.
talking about seatbelts.
Because the same conversation.
I was not here for
It was
that.
the same conversation about seatbelts, and then Jeezy had this thought about. Here's the thing, and we're gonna put this to bed at this point. If I sneeze without a mask, my germs move further and faster than if I have one on. That point, there's no case about that. That is the case. Yeah, it still spreads, right? So people next to me, they're gonna get it, but the people in front of me not, are not as much. So that's just kind of how that goes. Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. We got Jeezy in the house, man.
Cool. Let me ask you this, Moose. So basically, from now on, this just is what it is for you. The world is like where we're at right now. It just is for you.
Honestly, I don't have a humongous problem with not hanging out in crowded places and I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff. I'm cool with having a circle of people that I can hang with. At some point, when you stop moving around so much, I might get on your griddle with you and have a cheesesteak sandwich or whatever you be making over there. You know what I'm saying?
So you cool with like never going to a Colts game again, never going to a Pacer game again.
That's gonna suck. That's gonna
Like,
suck. But here's the thing. In a few years, I might be able to go again. But like this next season, I don't want to.
So what would be the difference between next season and 3 years from now.
The same as the Spanish flu.
It ain't going nowhere, dog.
You asked me a question. I'm answering for you. Every germ that we've ever had is still here, right? The fact of the matter is, what happens is when they start to build vaccines for it, it diminishes the return on that. So I've probably had the Spanish flu before, but it doesn't kill us anymore because I've had the vaccine at some point in my life. I probably had swine flu before, but it doesn't kill us anymore because I've had the vaccine. Like E-Web said earlier, like I said, I've been around enough in schools and working with children that I'm sure I've been infected by all that stuff, right? MRSA, all that. And so it doesn't kill me. This new one can kill you. So they'll figure it out. You know what? You weren't here before I talked about AIDS. AIDS used to be a thing that didn't kill you. Or excuse me, that did kill you. It was a death sentence. Now, AIDS is not a death sentence anymore. HIV is not a death sentence anymore. It changes. So I think that with the technology now that they have, it just makes it faster. It used to be you didn't get, matter of fact, look, think about it. Ryan White died, 83, 84, something like that, maybe 85. And then Magic Johnson caught in the 90s and still living. So it took him about 10 years to find the right medicine and get the right price point. And now the price point is so much that they run commercials on it every single day.
Well, the first thing is, AIDS still kill you. HIV is not what kills you. AIDS is what kills you.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but AIDS is still a death. You get AIDS, it's over with. There's no living with
Not
AIDS.
for everybody.
You live with HIV. You can't live with AIDS. AIDS is over with. Once you get AIDS, it's a wrap. AIDS is the one that kills. HIV never kills. HIV is a virus that turns into AIDS eventually. You die from AIDS, not HIV. Magic has HIV. He does not have AIDS.
Yeah. Good point.
You're all over the place.
I went, look, this infected everybody.
I'm making rounds today.
Here we are.
This infecting everybody, man. Hey, it's Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. You guys, I was not recording this, so the funny part of the joke is not seen by everybody. But the little seed was at E-Web's house. Then he was in the Compound Studios. Then he was at Ron's house for a minute. So he just spreading COVID around to all of us. So when he gets back here, he's gonna take a shower and put those clothes somewhere because I still believe that we can get this junk. Hey man, Heavy Hitters Radio Show. You listen. We got everybody in the house. The band is all here. I got a question for Jeezy. You got anything you wanna anything you mad about, son?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Ozarks now. People are upset about the beach party at the Ozarks now. I feel like right now what we're doing is we're essentially are the kids that can't go outside and play. When we see other kids outside, we look out the window and hate on everybody that's outside playing. The people in the Ozarks, the people that's at Daytona Beach, people at Clearwater Beach, the people that's outside, like, last time I checked, everybody said this, I guess we forgot, but correct me if I'm wrong, Moose, did they not say that COVID cannot live anything above 80 degrees? Is that factual?
I'm not sure. I'll look it up real quick.
They said it. That's one of the things that kill it, 80 degrees. For anybody, like, Ron's busy. Ron, did you not, one of the things that kill COVID is it not 80-degree temperature?
What?
COVID-19, coronavirus, didn't that not tell us that one of the things that kill it is 80-degree temperature?
No, they never said that. They said that they said that they thought it would go away or that it would be less once the weather got warmer. Remember? And then on this show, we talked about how why is California and Florida having all these issues if warm weather is going to be what kills it? Warm weather does not kill a virus. That's not how it works.
So basically, I just dragged 80 degrees out of my ass. And that's a number I just dragged from not watching the news. And
I'm
then
sure you heard it somewhere. But I feel like maybe our news stations and outlets are not the same.
Who?
I feel like maybe your news outlet and my news outlet are not.
I watched like the MSNBC, CNN, the typical scare factors, and I heard 80 degrees several times, like kill the virus.
I did not.
I heard it.
And that's just not how science works.
Hey, so Jeezy, there's not specific about
Okay.
there's not specific about temperature, but it says
Okay.
that coronavirus generally don't live as long in higher temperature and humidity levels than in cooler, drier conditions. Researchers are studying whether exposure to heat, cold, or sunlight affects how long the new virus lives on surfaces. So that they're not exactly sure. I mean, maybe you did hear 80 degrees, but
Yeah. But beside the point, I'm pretty sure like people are getting mad that people are still going out decide to live their life. Like at some point, it got to be your choice. Work. If you go to Walmart, and people have not stopped going to Walmart. People have not stopped shopping. People have not stopped going to work, and people have not stopped. Like since March, they have been out there. They call them essential workers, essential employees, or whatever you want to call them. But these people have been going to their jobs and dealing with the public on a day-to-day basis. And these people are not dropping like flies. I've heard one of my guys say that part of the Ozarks going to put a strain on the medical system. I was like, what strain? Talking about the strain that has nurses and doctors getting laid off? Like, nobody talking about hospitals actually closing because they can't have enough funding because the hospitals are not empty. That people are not working. People are getting laid off in the hospital. But no one's talking about that part of what's going on with this COVID stuff.
yeah, it's funny. I had a buddy in Florida that got laid off, which I thought was weird. Like in March, he's a nurse and he got laid off, and I didn't understand it. But yeah,
And no one's talking about that, Moose. Like,
But I mean, that's in Florida. I mean, in New York, they were flying them in all over the country to work there. 24 hours a day.
But we don't live in New York, dog. Like, why is it our way of life is affected by what goes on in New York? We don't live like New York. Our housing is stacked on top of each other. We don't have a subway system that just, carries all kind of germs all around the place. We don't live like that. Like, Indiana lives completely different than Florida, completely different than Chicago. We live differently. New York, yeah, they got issues, but they passing laws across the country that affected small town people because of COVID. Now they're shutting down hospitals and stuff.
Yeah, well, we know too that a lot of those folks are sick and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I get it. Here's the thing, man. You get one or two sick people. You get one or two sick people there. Just like to piggyback off your Ozarks thought. Some of my people said that the conspiracy theorists thought that it didn't kill enough black folks per se. That's why they opened the churches back up, and they just say churches, synagogues, and mosques. Matter of fact, he said that specifically today when I watched the president's briefing today, and he said churches, synagogues, and mosques, please open back up. Do your thing, And I'm just thought to myself, before he didn't care nothing about that, he said we gotta let those leaders of those institutions take control of this thing. And I thought to myself, man, I don't really get into conspiracy theories like that. But E-Web, what's your thoughts on that?
Man, my thoughts on this whole thing, honestly, man, you want to hear my thoughts on this whole thing, man, for me, is pray for the world, pray for you and your family, man, and move on down the road. You know what I mean? Like, it don't mean you ain't gonna get it. You might get it. You know what I'm saying? You want to wear your mask, wear your mask. You don't want to wear your mask, don't wear your mask. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, man, it's like respect people's boundaries and just keep on going, man, because the life don't stop. The world ain't gonna stop. Just like my man was saying, we still got to get out there and go to work. I don't have a choice. My job is shut down. I still got to go. So I'm gonna respect people's boundaries. And I done already prayed for the people around me, and the people I know in this world, and I can't do that. That's all I can really do about it. I'm more on that line too. That wearing a mask is you can wear one, it makes you feel comfortable, but I don't think that's going to be the thing that stops people getting coronavirus. Yeah, you can go into a grocery store and pick up a 24 pack of water and it might have it on. You know, we touch stuff all the time before we, inform, grocery stores, foreign objects, we touch stuff all the time before we think about wiping it off. You know, and then as much as stuff is airborne, man, I just think that it's just one of them things, man. You might get it, you might not.
All right, well, and I guess that's kind of what our theme was, by the way, earlier, Jeezy, is that people are going to just do what they're going to do as long as we're respectful of what their choices are, and they don't. I guess there's a caveat to that. Don't put me and mine in harm's way, though. So don't be cavalier in the way you acted and put me and mine in harm's way, because I don't think that's cool. But the rest of it is all right. So yeah, there might be an uptick in this thing, and then who knows? It might slow down. It might change. Maybe most of us already had it. There's a lot of people that were sick in January and February that was like, man, I don't know what this is, and walk right through it. So it could happen that way too. We got any more Run That News? We got any more Run That News?
I do. So, also in the news today, that's the wrong app, my bad. Kentucky is, they are stating their feelings, if you will. So, recently, there was a Second Amendment rally in Kentucky, and it was Saturday.
Really?
Now, at this rally, they hung a sweatshirt and a pair of sweatpants that they stuffed, and they put their governor, Andy Beshear, they put his face on this figure in a tree because they feel like the country should open back up, or at least Kentucky. So about 100 people stormed the governor's mansion to celebrate constitutional rights, and they all brought their guns. And their slogan was, "What it really means to be free." So here's the thing. Guess their race. We already know.
Jumped in front of
The tables were turned, it might be a different outcome. Nothing happened to them, by the way. Not a single thing. So, cool. Good times. Also, Trump has not only called for the churches to open back up, but he has also said that if North Carolina does not allow him to open the convention hall and hold the Republican convention, he will step in and he will open it, or he will move it somewhere else. Now, his good buddy, Mike Pence, says that Trump's threat is very reasonable.
That's why my stay was...
Why it's not. It's not very reasonable is the answer. I don't know why we're going to shove a bunch of people into the same room, but I mean, I guess you're all from the same party and you want to go right about it. Also, while there's no sports happening except for cornhole, virtual horse racing.
Well, no, we had NASCAR, we got Korean baseball, we got something else I saw too. Oh, and then we had a little bit of golf.
Yes, we did have a little bit of golf, and in that golf tournament, Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning played against Tom Brady and somebody Mickelson.
Phil.
He's not important. His first name's not in this article.
Phil.
Mickelson.
Uncle Phil. This is Phil. Okay, it's different.
Now, if you suffer from blackmouth, same thing.
I know. Anyway, here's what's important, because we live in Indianapolis. Tom Brady lost to Peyton Manning, and that's what's important. That's all you need to know from the whole story. That's it.
And Tom Brady split his pants.
He did split his pants, which was kind of funny.
I got a question to all the Tom Brady haters. Who was Peyton Manning's partner?
Who was what?
Huh?
Who was Peyton Manning's partner?
Tiger Woods.
Oh, enough said. Enough said. I'm done. I rest my case.
Yeah, Peyton's better picking team.
Yeah, I rest my case, yo.
When I pick team,
If Brady had Tiger Woods as his partner, he would have won too. I'm just saying.
Heavy hitters. Hey, so you got anything else?
no, that's all to run that news today.
Hey man, good job with that. Really good job. Hey,
Hey, I'm signing off, y'all.
What you got, D-Lo?
Man, I gotta get up at 12:30.
Yeah.
So y'all working? Yeah. Hey, nice talking to y'all, man. I'll holler at y'all.
The
Hey.
Can I go back and address a couple things from Run That News real quickly?
of course.
You know, I just want to say, in regards to the whole Donald Trump and reopening the churches, from my perspective, I think a lot of the reason for pushing for the churches, synagogues, and mosques to reopen is because, you know, we're approaching November and he's going to need to campaign hard for that evangelical vote. So that's my 2 cents on that. And then also that story in Frankfort, Kentucky, with the Second Amendment protest. I just want to say, in getting caught up in that particular story, I did read a unique vantage point where there were a couple of protesters there that were very upset about seeing the governor in a noose, and even though they were his opposition, they quickly went to remove and take down that doll or whatever it was being hung from the tree with the governor's face on it. So salute to those guys.
Yes.
Is the governor of Kentucky white or black? I don't know.
White.
Andy Bashir.
And just for the record, Jesus is all about his freedom. I'm going freedom 100%. I'm not going to go outside. I'm all about maintaining my civil liberties and my freedom.
Are you going to protest for haircuts?
Now, I don't care about haircuts. You said it right. If the barber's willing to cut your hair, if the barber's willing to cut your hair, you should be able to get a haircut. It's between two people.
I wish you
I
would.
don't need a third party stepping in and telling me that I can't go do it. If you willing to provide a service and I want to pay for said service, I should be able to go do that. That's being free and my civil liberties. I pay for my services. I should be done. I should be able to do that. Period.
I wish, you know what, I wish you were fighting for the right to have some good internet out there where you live at, man. My goodness.
My phone. Hold on. Is this bad? Hold on.
But, all right. Hey, Heavy Hitters Radio Show.
I'm going to switch you. Hold on. I'll be back.
All right, we'll see you in a minute. Hey, it's time for Reading Runbow.
Yes. This makes me so happy. Oh, man. So if you have not heard the other stories on Reading Runbow, you need to go back and you need to listen. They're generally towards the beginning of the episode. Tonight's a little bit different, and that's A-okay. So tonight, we're going to be reading Put Tony's Nuts in Your Mouth. I feel like I should not have read that so excitedly, but I did, and that's okay. Yeah, moving on. All right, man, Tony. Tony has big nuts. Big nuts. Moose, you want to record this?
I'm sorry, yeah. Do me a favor. Sorry, everybody. Can you go back? Can you go?
Moose is muted.
Moose on mute.
Yes. Can you?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep
Listen.
going.
Can you go back? I want you to go back, and I want you to read the. When I point to you, read the intro, like the title again.
Okay.
Do I sound better now?
Yes.
The pictures do better. You don't look like an album cover every 10 seconds.
I lost you a little bit. Here we go.
All right, we're in the building.
Put Tony's nuts in your mouth. Okay. Moving on. Tony has big nuts. And small nuts. He has pecans and walnuts, nuts with or without a shell. There is no nut that Tony does not sell. His apron says Tony's nuts. Tony sells his nuts all day. He always has a line. Hey, guys, do you recognize anybody in that line from a previous story? Spank the monkey's there. Oh. Some say Tony's nuts smell great. Some say they taste divine.
But Tony got salty nuts.
They drive or walk or ride the bus. They come from north and south to take those hot and salty nuts and put them in their mouths. Tony dips his chocolate nuts until they are just right. Oh, that one caught me off guard. He knows your mom will take them home and suck on them tonight. Oh, man. Oh, BJ looks at Tony's nuts and tries hard not to stare. And Steven grabs his nutsack and finds a big old pear. BJ plays with Tony's nuts in the closet at his house. Grandpa says he should just come out and pops one in his mouth. This is gold. Grandpa likes to go in there and take his camera with him. He loves to look at photographs when Tony's nuts are in them. Oh, he swears it isn't weird or queer. He says it's not a crime. Grandpa licks the salt right off of Tony's nuts sometimes. The girls, too, like Tony's nuts. Of this, there is no doubt. Every girl around this town has put them in her mouth. On the way to the school one day, riding the bus, the Johnson twins were in the back sharing Tony's nuts. Back and forth they open them, hoping that they don't get those big and tasty nuts stuck down their throat.
Wow. White ski.
Even Mrs. Boldyke, the softball coach, and her special friend will have a go at Tony's nuts every now and then. There really is no argument Mount Rushmore ought to be a monument of Tony's nuts for all the world to see. The end. Put Tony's nuts in your mouth.
That was an amazing story, Ron. We definitely here at the Heavy Hitters appreciate the reading of Runbow, and hopefully that author will come out with some new and exciting stories soon.
Right. I want to hear the one called AJ the Pipe Layer. Pretty good one.
You're a train wreck.
Oh, that's so funny. Hey, Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. You check this out. We got a few minutes.
I read one called Bruce the Muff Diver.
It'd be funnier if your phone wouldn't have cracked and all I heard was Moose the Burmer.
Moose the Muff Diver. I love it.
It's funny.
Does it? Move the driver.
D-Lo on the down low.
Probably not.
Hey, y'all ever see D-Lo?
That's the second time in the last 2 weeks you come at me.
No, I seen
Coming at you.
D-Lo.
We were throwing out book titles.
No, I thought it was D-Lo the Dong Slayer.
No, I saw D-Lo high school basketball game. He played for the Sucker Macaques.
Now, Jeezy's coming at you. Okay, that was across the line.
The Sucker Macaques versus the Oregon Beavers.
That was Jeezy's one, not me.
You look like a guy.
Wow.
Wowzers.
Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. As you notice, Moose stayed out of that. I have nothing. I steer clear. I steer clear of all of
You sat back in your chair like, nope.
the book titles. Steer clear, folks. Hey, you remember? So 2020, I couldn't find the song, but did your parents or grandparents ever watch Hee Haw?
Yes.
Coming up, and it's funny because I mean I think even black grandparents watch Hee Haw, and I think what it was that was the best channel back then. Like it was like news, couple game shows, Lawrence Welk, Hee Haw, Dukes of Hazzard, then Falcon Crest, then Dallas, then it was time to go to bed. For then TV, you know, it's kind of how that went down. But at least in my grandma's house it did. But they had a song on there that was pretty amazing, and it was let me see. I'm going to try to do a rendition of it as you guys are getting ready for your brews and reviews. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Doom, 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 gloom, despair, and agony on me. Oh, deep, dark depression and misery. Oh, if it wasn't for bad luck, I have no luck at all. Oh, gloom, despair, and agony on me. Thank you very much. That's Moose doing Hee Haw, Gloom, Despair, and Agony. You guys ever heard that song?
No.
That's you like that?
Man, I grew up in Gary, Indiana.
They had Hee Haw on in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. We did not have Hee-Haw in Gary. Our channels in you got to think. I grew up, we had the Chicago stations. We didn't have these Indianapolis Hicks stations. Yeah.
So also, the only thing you had over us was WGN that we had to pay for.
Yeah, we did not. I did not have Hee-Haw. Yeah. There was no neighborhood around me like Carmel.
Yeah, it was the city of Chicago,
Which is the hood on the south side where I'm from.
Hey, so hey guys, you know what it's time for? It's time for that world famous segment of our show.
Yes, created by us.
That's right. No one else had anything to do with it.
Not a soul.
Not the cable guy that was at the compound.
Yeah, we didn't find out about it in passing. This is completely original.
That's right. Matter of fact, the cable guy, by the way, where I had that same setup until like about a month ago, which is weird. That was a long time ago we get that out. Hey, all right, it's called Brews and Reviews. Jeezy, what's Brews and Reviews?
Basically, how the heavy hitters sees things, man. So basically, how we see it and view things is the more alcohol it takes to enjoy something, it's how bad it is. So, for instance, if you watch like Michigan, Ohio State, if Ohio State wins, Moose would say that was a 10 brew kind of game, meaning he didn't enjoy it at all. If Michigan beats Ohio State, it's a 0 brew game because he enjoys the hell out of that. So it's safe to say that Moose has been drunk as hell for the past 10 years. Ohio State beat Michigan.
9 out of 10. Hadn't been 10 straight. Hadn't been 10 straight, but 9 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah.
All right, who?
Is he might get you go without a defeat this coming season.
Right.
That'd be horrible. I think college sports would be almost over as we know it if they don't have a football season. Because
as we know it.
Because they have to generate money for like lacrosse and field hockey and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So if they don't have it's gonna be a lot of folks out of Lori McLaughlin them. They're gonna be in trouble. They're gonna be faking sports that don't even exist anymore. So when they're on the rowing team, like, no, we had to sell our boats because we didn't have football this year.
Right, exactly.
All right, D-Lo, you gonna start us off?
Yeah, matter of fact, I will. I did get a chance to check out a documentary series, Free Meat. I got to check out the episodes consistent of that documentary regarding the arrest and charges against Meek Mill. I think starting out about the age 19 is when he first got arrested. The charges Like it was way crazy because he was coming out of his house heading to a store. He did have a gun on him, but as soon as he came out the door and came down the steps, a group of police officers charged after him, telling him to freeze. As that's happening, he pulls a gun from his waistline, lays it on the ground, never points it at the officer's butt. Anyway, they trumped up the charges. They said that he pointed the gun at them. They stated that he was selling crack cocaine, even though Meek Mill never had a history of being a drug dealer. But anyway, throughout the process, they go through, kind of recreate the events of the crime, go through the police report, look at several of the internal investigations involved. And it was a complete mess. And the way they kept him in the system was just unbelievable, but so reminiscent to what so many other low-income people have to deal with when it comes to law enforcement and the justice system. So, real interesting view, real crazy how the judge seemed to have some sort of personal vendetta against him. She seemed to also have a sensationalized view that she was responsible for his career and allowing him to be as successful as he had become. But she also made it a habit to try and keep her thumb on him and just, violating him on parole. Just the silliest of things, that maybe he couldn't avoid. So, real deep look. It certainly went into Meek Mill, but it spoke overall to some of the big problems in the justice system. There are some major flaws, and so I'm going to give it one brew, you know what I mean? Like, it was based on Meek Mill, and so there were some parts that probably had a little too much for me in terms of his rap songs, but I understand him being a rapper that had to kind of aid the project itself, but I liked it overall. I thought it was good. I think everybody should check it out.
All right, man. Dig that. What's the name of it again?
Free Reaper.
Ron, you got anything?
I do. So I actually watched a very pilgrim show on Netflix, and as much as I am down with the culture, sometimes I really am a pilgrim because I thoroughly enjoyed this show. It is called Sweet Magnolias. It is a Netflix original. It is about three friends who grow up in South Carolina, and they become known as the Sweet Magnolias. So the show takes place, they're like in their late 30s, early 40s, and they maintain their friendship. So they're all on this kind of same walk of life, but some different circumstances happen, and so it takes them through these different challenges. And so one thing that I love so much about them is they do margarita nights, and so their phrase is pour it out. So you have to pour out the margarita, and then you have to pour out your stories also. And it was good. And so it was like 10 episodes. I binge watched it because what else is there to do nowadays? It was raining. So here's the thing, and I've said this before, when people drink on television, I also like to drink. And I will say that I actually was drinking when I was first watching the show, and I was like, I'm going to go back and rewatch this because I was so into it that I didn't want my attention to be taken away. But I would say if you want to pour out a glass of margarita while you're watching it, by all means, I say join the Sweet Magnolia. Anyway, it was totally left on a cliffhanger. There will definitely be a season 2. Netflix original.
I think you called it Steel Magnolias. That's not the name of it. It's Sweet Magnolias, right?
It's Sweet Magnolias. I might have said Steel Magnolias.
All right. Because that was also another Grossly Pilgrim movie that did really
Very
well.
Grossly Pilgrim movie, written by a fine Mio. There's your random trivia for the day.
Outstanding. Yes. Thank you. You got anything else, Ron?
I don't even know what else I've watched.
So check this out. Jeezy, I'll let you go last. I have, what have I been watching? I watched season 6 of The Flash came out, but I saw most of that, so I've just been kind of catching up on the bits and parts that I missed. And in the midst of that, I got rid of my dial-up cable and got this high speed, so I lost everything on my DVR. So you know how you save that stuff and don't watch it forever. Now I can watch it again. Now it's coming back on these different seasons. So I checked that out, and then I started watching Airbender again on Netflix. Great show. The Avatar is the name of it, I guess. Started watching that again, and I keep talking about Kevin Hart. Dude, it's funny on those little clips like What the Fit and all that, the LOL network, or Cold as Balls and all that kind of stuff. All those things are very funny, man. And just, it's quick little, get your mind off or whatever you want to get your mind off for a little bit. So I would encourage anybody to watch the LOL network, man. Kevin Hart stuff is very funny. Or if you catch Kevin Hart and Ice Cube on YouTube riding around, what's the guy, the late night guy?
Oh, yeah, Conan.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien. Man, it's almost must-see TV. You almost want to have a brew or two because you're going to be laughing so hard you're going to be sipping on stuff. Man, it's very funny, man. Very funny. So I really give those 0 brews, but I'd have a brew or two just to enjoy it. What's up, Jeezy?
Well, I don't necessarily have a show. I have a device. And I think everybody at some point will have one of these. It's the ultimate game changer, man. So over the weekend, man, I purchased the Oculus Quest. And that's the latest VR headset. And when I tell you it's a game changer, it is simply amazing. So, like, right now I've been doing the boxing. And, yeah, it's everything you would imagine VR would be, it is. And I highly recommend you investing in a VR headset. It is the future. 100%.
Well, if you're doing VR, then you won't be outside mixing with the COVID, so it's a safer alternative.
It's a safer alternative. And not to mention, they have, which Jeezy is going to go full throttle into this VR thing. They have the hectic suit. It's called a hectic suit. And you put on the vest, the arm stuff, and the gloves, and now you can actually feel in VR. You can interact with all the objects in VR. So what? That is, I'm pretty sure they do. I haven't looked that up yet. I have not looked at porn yet on there yet. But I guarantee by next week's episode, I will have a Bruiser Reviews on VR Pornhub.
Well, we need a follow-up review.
Right. There will be some follow-up. For sure. And I'm almost certain they have something or something is in the works with this. I mean, when you see it, D-Lo, it's amazing. It's so realistic. It's not even funny.
I'm with that.
And you get motion sickness on some of the stuff because, like, you really like. I'll give you an example. There's a game called Drunken Bar Fight. It is fun. All you do is basically go in the bar, you drink, and you just smash people in the head with a bottle, and you just start fights. So I actually fell down in real life playing this game because I lost my goddamn balance. It is crazy. The next time we all together, I'm definitely bringing it. Y'all definitely gonna do it.
I'm with that.
I'm scared. I'm gonna get dizzy.
Sometimes you will get dizzy. Like I did the one where you the roller coaster. Yeah, I can't mess with that. I can't. It's like you doing everything you like. And they got one called the plank, where you walk out of a high rise, and you walk on this board, and you got to pick up stuff on the end of the board while looking down and seeing if you can fall. Yeah, it's trippy, bro. It's trippy. You think you won't be worried about it, but once you win it, you like, hold on, like this is your mind tricks yourself because you're used to what you normally know that you can fall, and then you actually fall. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't want no part of that. So you give 0. You can't drink Bruiser. That thing should be throwing up.
You should be throwing up for sure. But let me say this: not every game makes you dizzy, and not every game makes you nauseous. There's certain games that does to the movement. your body's not moving, then it can get a little crazy. But the boxing is A1. That's a workout. Because you feeling the punches as you hit the person, that you feel it in your hands. And like you start sweating and your heart rate goes up. Great exercise, man.
All right. Hey, we appreciate that, man. Heavy Hitters Radio Show. That's what y'all listening to right now. We just did Brews and Reviews.
Bonus review. Can I give a quick bonus review?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Hey, I'm having trouble hearing you, but it sounds good on the radio. Maybe it could just be me over here.
No, it sounds like you're in a tunnel sometimes, D-Lo.
I don't know. I can hear myself just fine.
Well, because you're saying it.
I'm talking crazy. And so anyway, all I wanted to say was I got to give Zero Brews to a picture meme I received this week from Heavy Hitters host LGZ and Baku. It was a melanated picture of co-host Run EMC's so freaking Brew.
Yo!
Classic.
I saw that. I was like, yo! What about your kids?
The funniest thing, well, two funny things about that. One, the child is clearly biracial. And two, I was at the pool soaking up the sun rays when you were like, it's just a more melanated, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Run. That's your kid doppelganger. For sure.
Hey, Ron, I got a question for you. How you going to be an ally for black people if you're going to suffer from black mouth? You're not going to be able to help us if you sound like us.
You're losing credibility.
You lose.
Work on it. Okay, see, now I know. These are the action steps I need to know so that I can join the fight.
See, I like that. I heard the T. Fight.
I will practice enunciating all of the syllables and sounds in each and every word.
Outstanding. Yeah, you definitely got to make sure that you don't mess up the syllables and have the right emphasis, because then it messes up everything.
It sure does.
Hey, man, Heavy Hitters Radio Show. You listen, this is Musike Big House. I'm chilling in the Compound Studios here. I got the fan on. I'm not turning the AC on, but I think it's about 85 degrees in here.
Yeah, you tripping.
I had my AC on so much so that I needed a blanket for the show.
Not doing it, man. I'm not doing it.
I'm sunburnt, so my skin radiates heat, but it makes me feel cold.
The little C9, we're going to sweat it out tonight, man. Sweating to the oldies tonight.
It's like sleeping in a sauna.
That's how we're going to do it. Anyway, hey, guys, I tell you what. It's, man, we are coming up on 2 hours. And, you know, what we've become, which I think is pretty cool, is a drive time show for a lot of people. So, like, on the way to work, they listen for a little bit. On the way home, they listen for a little bit. And if they have those jobs where they can listen, like, while they at work, they have us on, man. So that's real cool. I've had lots and lots of feedback. And people say, man, they ask questions about this section or that section. So one of the things I'm going to start doing is firing you guys off some stuff. If I get in the middle of the day, I'm going to fire it off to you and say, man, somebody asked about this, you know, what are your thoughts on it? And then I'll give them direct feedback, which I think is pretty cool. You know, it's not going to be all the time, but, you know, when I get it, I think it'll be cool. So the last, we just had Memorial Day, right? What's the next holiday? July 4th? And supposedly, what? Father's Day. We have Juneteenth first and then Father's Day, right?
Is Father's Day after Juneteenth this year?
I thought it was Father's Day first this year.
I'll tell you. Hold on. I'll look it up.
I'm not sure when Father's Day is.
It should be that's Flag Day. This year it's after Juneteenth. Miss, you are correct. It's June 21st.
Okay, so just a few days after. So you know when you have that big Heavy Hitters Juneteenth / Father's Day powwow at the Ozarks, I'm going to shut down Arkansas, wherever state they was in, Missouri. Shut down Missouri's hospitals.
Just for the record, Jeezy was in Florida, and it's been about a week and a half, and I feel great. Just give y'all an update.
We appreciate it. You know what's funny? I can probably go back. I can go back on on my social media probably 4 years ago, and there's a picture of all of us with masks on,
I'm in the hospital
keeping somebody protected.
because I had pneumonia at the time.
And so there's a picture of me and all the heavy hitters at the time visiting you in the hospital, and we were required to wear masks.
So
Yeah,
interesting.
but that's a whole different scenario. You're in a hospital in a sterile environment. But anyway, I'm not going to get into this. Everybody has a different views. We have established that we all think differently. Ron clearly has not left the house. And she's fine with that. Moose has not left the house a lot. He's fine with that. Jeezy has been working every single day out with the people, and I'm fine with that as well. So we all have 3 different tiers of living, and we all fine in the heavy hitters.
Everybody's fine. True that.
Yeah, everybody's fine.
Hey, bananas, no. That's funny. Pineapple is what I meant to say.
Bananas.
Bananas is my family safe word. They were giving me we had a family Zoom this past weekend, and they said bananas was a safe word. I can't believe I just said that right. That's kind of funny.
Right.
So I took a picture of myself with a banana on Sunday morning because I was mad at them because they said it was just for me. Anyway, pineapples. You know what fine stands for, don't you?
Fine. If she look good, she fine.
No. It stands for fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. You ever,
That what fine means.
yeah. You ever been with a woman? You ever been with a woman and you're like, you all right? She's like, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, that kind of fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah. If y'all, folks, here's your assignment for next week's show. Watch. You got Netflix, right? Watch the stand up with what's his name? He had the show for NBC for a long time.
Jerry Seinfeld?
Seinfeld. Okay. His stand up, it is not like a belly aching, I'm gonna roll on the ground and laugh. He's not that kind of comedian. But what he is, he has observational humor. And I think you will find it very funny, some of the things he says, especially when it comes to being married and the argument you have with women. He was like, about how they say that things like, I don't like that. You say, you don't like what? What you doing right now? Well, what am I doing? See, there it is again. There's what again? See, you don't understand me. I don't understand what? Like, we have all those arguments in everything, and you have no idea what the hell you said, what you done, or how to get out of it, because you have no idea. And it was spot on, and I was crying.
I'm glad because Seinfeld really hadn't had any new jokes in 20 plus years, so I'm glad he's finally got some new stuff out.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. He said, it was like, women, we want to make you happy, but we just don't know how. He was like, it's kind of like playing chess on the ocean, and the chessboard is moving, and then once you grab a piece, it vanishes in your hand. It's the best. I love it. Ron, don't watch it. You won't understand it. But the guys, we will. 100%.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we definitely will understand it.
Man, I just cracked my back while you were talking, and I made a noise. Like I tried to be quiet because I know we're recording a nationally syndicated podcast, but it hurt. You ever crack something and it hurts so bad you like.
Yes.
That's like I'm at the age now where when I stretch, I usually say a cuss word afterwards.
You just start with an S.
Yeah. You stretch and be like. Right, man. Hey, so all right, guys. D-Lo, I need some perspective. Some perspective on how, as the economy opens up, and now we're really moving towards, especially here in Indiana, Indianapolis specifically, we're moving towards being outside, kind of street party mentality. The restaurants are outside, open up. How are those jobs like DJs? Guys that like play the guitar, like bands and all that kind of stuff. How are they pivoting to come up with the times?
So, as of right now, there's still a lot of great entertainment on social media as far as people going live and what have you. But as businesses open back up, there's a huge push for a lot more events and things to happen outside. So I don't know where it's going to go as far as noise complaints and things of that nature. But I got booked for a gig in June, and so that'll be my first time really out and amongst the public in that capacity. So that'll be a learning experience, I think, for myself, just to maintain some safety and some distance. I'll probably set up a small system, something like a velvet rope around my booth, just to make sure people aren't getting any closer than necessary. But I'm advocating for working places with as much outdoor seating and open air spaces as I can, because, I can already see people's energy getting back to a point where they want to be out, and they're going to be out in masses as long as they're able to. So it'll be an adjustment, but I'm kind of curious to see. But I think outdoor venues, outdoor work is going to kind of be the theme for the summer for people in situations like myself.
Okay, all right. And so, guys, I guess like with this, as we talk about the new, people always say the new normal, right? The new normal. And then you hear folks on Jeezy's side saying ain't nothing new. Like I'm doing what I do. I'm just there's certain things he has to bend to, like at TSA, like you don't hand them your port, you show it to them and then you scan it yourself and all that new stuff. So, what about this show? Do we ever get back in the same room and do it?
Hell yeah, we did. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm not doing this forever.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not doing this, dog. Like, nah, I'm cool. Nah. We gotta get back to being out in the streets, sitting 10 moves, wave their hand, get people on the show. Like, yeah, we back in there.
Hey, them days
Right
over.
now, this is the 6-man version of the show, but we're starters, bruh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, take back Tuesday, summertime, take that Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't going in there. You can forget that.
I'll be outside. I'm never winning. I'll be outside of the
I love them dudes, but I am not going in there, man. Because if we was,
I will.
I'm trying to think if we was in there in March, because we for sure was passing it around, boy. Because I mean, it's shoulder to shoulder in that joint.
It's not even shoulder to shoulder. Whatever's closer than shoulder to shoulder is what it is.
What y'all don't understand, here's the thing that y'all don't get. This thing has been here since like November.
No question.
We've been to take back. You've been to close games. I've been to paint the game with you, high five the strangers. We would share peanuts.
Hey, but wait, stop. You need to enunciate better.
I said peanuts.
All right, thank you.
Now this ain't nuts. Yeah, I said peanuts.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll be all right, man. We'll make it through this. The only thing about it is, Jeezy is buying a pig and a cow, yo. I'm not gonna be a part of this shortage in the wintertime when ain't no food left, no meat. So Jeezy gonna get a cow, yo, and a pig.
Hey man, I got them for sale, Doc, in December. In December, it's so backed up right now that guys that are ready to slaughter the animals now can't get them in to slaughter until December. That's how backed up it is.
But the price of a pig, what a lady told me today, is so cheap because the big chains aren't buying them and they're ready to get slaughtered and they can't do it.
They ready right now. Yeah, if you can buy a whole pig yourself, you can probably get it for. I bet you can get it unslaughtered for $100, $200,
Yeah,
which is a ton of meat for that price.
Yeah.
You got to go out in the back and make it happen, though. You got to get you a sharp knife, some drink, and
right. And you out there just had, you know what I'm saying, put run to work, you know. So,
it's funny, man. In my old neighborhood, I had an old dude that used to do that. He bought his own hog. He brought it home, and he slaughtered it at the house. He burned the hair off outside and slaughtered and did everything like right there in the yard, man.
They tripping. That's definitely some Hallville mixed in with some
country,
some Wuhan. That's some Wuhan. Hallville. We for sure.
Here, I'll do the rest.
Yeah, he for sure had COVID. He for sure can survive the COVID.
It's crazy too. You have all those kids out there just here, grab that, hold this. He just
shoot, stop him in the back of the head. I'm gonna be shocking. All right, that's some good meat.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. So, but so anyway, no, on the for real tip though, and I did see where somebody figured out the ag dude. It's funny because I want to say the ag dude from the United States government. His last name is Purdue. Go figure that if that makes sense, and not Purdue the university, but Purdue probably the right, the chicken people. But
Purdue University too.
What they've done is they figured out that the government was going to buy some of the commodities, and they become commodities. They're going to buy some of the sheep and the cows and the pigs and all that, and produce from the farmers, and then give it to the food banks. So they're going to help the food banks by buying the food from the farmers. Which, how come somebody didn't think about that at the beginning? Because thousands of, probably millions of animals were slaughtered. Because if you're a farmer and I got this group of cows that's ready, right now, I expect them to be slaughtered now because my next group is going to be in that position. I can't afford to pay for these cats and pay for the ones that's moving into that position. It's cheaper for me to destroy these so I can so I can keep it moving. And so I'm glad that they thought about that. What are some other things that can happen, Jeezy?
Well, I'm about to slight. Well, no, I don't think. But I got to say something different than what we're talking about right now.
Are you taking a Jeezy turn?
Yeah, kind of.
That's not it.
Well, I don't know if you talked about this before I got here, but how in the hell is TJ Maxx and Marshall's closing after only being closed for 2 months? You could have closed all your stores. Like, what kind of bad accounting did you have that you can't? You're a major chain that you can't survive 2 months with no business, to where you got to shut down your whole operation.
I'm not sure, but people are very sad about it.
I don't think people understand when you have a business with a low margin, it is hard to maintain. I can't get into it, but if your margin is not 50% or even maybe 30%, you might be able to make it. But if it's 10 or 15%, it's very difficult.
Yeah, but Marshalls is getting like reject clothing. But their clothing is not like the real polo. It's like polo, but the button is like a quarter-inch off. So you get that, it's defective. It's all defective stuff. So you're not paying full freight, but you're selling it at damn near full freight. I don't understand. They're closing all them stores.
I don't know if they sell it at anywhere close to a normal price.
What?
It really
if you buy a t-shirt for $1 and you selling it for $25, that's a nice margins.
I thought you were saying that they're selling it to close to a normal price, even though it's defective.
Yeah, like obviously polo is a little cheaper, but like t-shirts and all that stuff, like you ain't paying no more than a nickel 50 cents for those. You're buying them both. So I know if I go out and buy some t-shirts for $1.25 in bulk, I know Marshall's getting them for a way better deal than me.
I don't know.
I don't understand it. I don't get it, but it's sad that they're closing. TJ Maxx closing, JCPenney closing.
Not all JCPenney's, just a few of them.
So we're going to have a bunch of empty-ass buildings just sitting around, which is it's crazy.
I mean, but you got to think about it. I mean, I bet 100 years ago, it's kind of what it looked like when you had so many people die. I bet it looked crazy like that. After World War II, I bet it, or World War I, World War II, I bet it looked like that. And we're just not used to it because it hasn't been like that in our lifetime. We've been around really pretty much in the best time in the history of times until now, And so now just, which we know it comes back around. Here it is. So I got a question for you guys, and this is going to be kind of a crazy one, and I'm interested. You can be funny or not funny, however you want to do it. But I saw today where they said that the Americans are still saying, well, the government, our government, is still saying that COVID was created, or coronavirus, excuse me, was in a lab and it got out because they had live strains in the lab. They were working on it, and it got out of the lab, and then they tried to hide. Instead, it's imagine. I can imagine some dude like sitting, late at night, he sees it going out the window somehow. He drops it or something. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, shit. And he doesn't say anything for a while. And then somebody asks him about it, and he's like, I don't know what y'all talking about. Then he's gone. He gets on the plane. He's out. He just quit. You know what I mean? Like, I quit. I ain't got nothing to do with this. And then by the time the government finds out about it, like it's already, it's already crazy. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I guess the first question is, why the hell y'all created a virus in the lab in the first place? Like, what's the purpose?
I can answer that. I can answer that, Jeezy.
Okay.
So, remember I told you all the viruses are always here. They're already here. Like everything that happened when they find it, it never goes away. Like they can't kill it. They just mutate it until it doesn't affect us anymore. H1N1 is still here. All that stuff is still here, right? So coronavirus has always been around, right? Just this strain wasn't around. And so they work on, like Fauci's crew, they work on creating genes or antivirus that makes the virus not hurt people, right? So they have live strains of all that stuff, and then once they figure it out, then they get it. That's how they have. I can't remember the name of that drug for HIV I just saw today, but that's how all that's created. All those things are created that way. So all these stuff, all this stuff is live in labs all over the place, and it's a global situation. It's not just in the United States or not just in China or Japan or whatever. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that makes sense. And I want to tap in and say that we need to stop with they're trying to depopulate and kill people. And the reason why I say that is because you don't want to kill your money. It don't make sense to depopulate and hurt your own pockets. Because the less people there are, that means the less money you make. That means the less people are consuming the goods and services that you do.
All right, check this out. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I have a thought.
Okay.
This virus is really hard on people that are compromised immunely. The population of people that are 65 and over.
The boomers.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the people. So, like the reason that Social Security starts at 65, you know why?
You're supposed to be dead by 67 and 68.
Yeah, well, right, because the life expectancy was it Roosevelt, I think? During the life expectancy was 65. So they set the Social Security payment at 65 because they figured you wouldn't be here anyway to collect it.
It was 62 at first.
Now cats are living to be 90, and they're taking all their come. By the time I'm noticed one of this crew, by the time I get to that age, it might not even be around anymore.
It'll be there. It'll be there, moves.
Well, now it might, because unfortunately half of them have gone on, but it's one of those things where if you really thought about how to manage society, I guess, you get rid of the poor, you get rid of the disadvantaged, you get rid of the health compromise, then the health system then doesn't strain the economy. And people on Medicaid and stuff, if I'm paying less for Medicaid payments and all that kind of stuff, now my economy comes back. It does come back stronger because those people that are draining it are not here to drain it.
Know what that's called? Know what that's called? The term for that is?
What's that?
It's called eugenics.
You sure that's not the stuff that Frank Thomas takes to make his penis hard?
No, that's something else. But it's called eugenics. Yeah, now you got me confused. No, it is eugenics.
No,
It's eugenics. It's not eugenics.
is when you do not allow people to have children because they're not smart enough to reproduce.
That's part of it. That's part of eugenics. But eugenics is you get back to kill off the weak. That's what Hitler was about. Killing off the weak, the left, all that stuff to create a superpower race of people. Eugenics. You can basically kill off in every other walk of life on the planet, animals kill off the weak. Like, you never seen a deformed tiger because the tiger, if you don't know about the baby, the cub is deformed, he killed him. It's over with. You're not going to live. All wild animals kill off the weak. And it's stuff for humans, obviously. Eugenics. But that's part of it.
Uh-oh. Fisher Price, man, we lost you.
Yep. Moose, the medication that you were thinking of is called Biktarvy.
Yes. They have all the black people in the commercial.
Yes, they do.
What is that?
That was juicy.
Please forgive me. I got to go in and deal with my children here, so I'm actually going to sign off. But I will be talking to you all.
Yeah. So, Jeezy will probably be out here in a little bit as well.
Well, here's what we do. Let's just do this thing.
That'll be in Champagne.
Let's just do it.
Let's go.
Hey, man, it's the Heaviest Radio Show. We're abruptly ending, but we care about y'all. Remember, check out later on this week or next week, me and my ex-wife's husband, man, coming back out. If any more issues come out with this situation, man, for sure, we'll be back. Man, we talked about some solutions for the situation. Yes, Pilgrims, we know we need you as allies. But how do we do it? We got to figure it out. It has to be a way where we can come together just as humans and make a change. Like the humans that want to make change, that want to be positive, can be the ones that are in charge. That's how it's gonna be. And the first thing is that we got to respect and love each other. That's what it comes down to. Respect and love each other. Show dignity every chance you get, and be human to humans. You can be humane to humans, not just animals. Be humane to humans. I'm gonna say that again. Hey, this is Moose, aka Big House, for Run EMC and El Jeezy and Baku Teddy Riley. This is the Heavy Hits Radio Show. By the way, you wanna give a quick RIP to what's George Floyd. Man, I'm having trouble with that. So, hey, rest easy, Mr. George Floyd. We don't know you, but you have sparked another piece of the movement. Even though it's not fair or just or right that you had to give your life to make that happen. But my hope is that people of all races, creeds, and colors, nationalities, financial position, socioeconomic status, the whole deal, will rally behind not just you, but each other to formulate some sort of change. So again, we can just be humane to each other. Just be humane. Heavy Hits Radio Show's Moose A Big House. Remember, we are where you are.
So get comfortable.
Come on in. Yeah, man.
He has horrible internet, but we love him anyway.
We do.
Peace.
Peace. Salute.